YouTube, welcome to the top 16 of the Meta Weekly every single week, bro. We're starting this off with two Titans, the top two decks. Yummy at the bottom with Dracotail at the top. Now Yummy is using Mitsurugi, and they also have the combo of potentially going into Sprite Elf, making the Herald of Arclight untargetable, thus a major floodgate against Dracotail, as all of their fusion materials will get banished instead of being sent to the grave, and none of them will trigger. And with this not being targetable means the Arthalion cannot return it back.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Begin. Prayers on the draw phase, searching for the Habakiri here. We're going to try to activate the Habakiri, successfully doing so as we summon a Saji from the deck under the effect of Max C. Now, will the Ash negate Saji? And now we have a Nibiru, another card to further help us stop the opponent from ending on a Herald of Arclight. That's the core goal for Mobile X here. Are we setting then passing? Yes, we are. We set. We're trying to end. The Urgula is going to wipe away the prayers at the end of the main phase. This is it for Yummy. Boy, this did not look good. Maxi happened. All right, I know the deck now looks bad, but he got Maxi. Now, we have a Maxi of our own, but Mobile X has already initiated some plays. The big question will be, will Mobile X go for game under Max C? We know that the Yummy player's feeling weak right now. They have a bricked Habakiri in hand. We don't know about the other cards. We have to assume that there's three other hand traps here. On the activation of Rahu, we're going to chain the Max C, and now we have the big play. Now, Femina is going to ensure that they do not get to draw. And what can you do at Femina? You can optionally make the Rahu illegal to resolve. If this illegally is resolving, they're not going to draw a card at all from Max C if we use all the monsters from our hand, because this requires something in your hand to use as fusion material, otherwise it does nothing. We are doing that. We are denying the Max C draw one. No draw one for you. Rahu does not use the deck nor a monster in the hand. Let's return back our Ash Blossom and Max C. Does this mean we're not going for lethal damage here? 0 draws for the Max C, but one more body. Just 2,000 more damage and you'd win. Add back the Ash. Add back the Max C. We're not doing anything else. That's it. Just poke them for 6k, play it nice and easy, maintain all of our disruptions, don't get caught off guard by anything wild. And now we can return a monster back, negate a spell, banish in the grave, negate with Ash, hit them with the Max C, the same Max C from turn one, recycled back in the hand, back-to-back Max C. Pre-prep, grabbing our mirror plus our Habakiri here, and let's now summon a Saji to give us the Mitsurugi ritual. Call to the grave, finger the Max C. As we now, Saji tribute, as we're gonna do full combo, uninterrupted. They cannot Femina, they need another monster in hand. If anything, they maybe could have activated Femina to try to bait the called by. They try to finger Femina, then you chain Max C. But, I mean, you'd have to have insane foresight to make that play. Huh. And you'd be wasting Femina if you wanted to then chain Max C anyway. Now, what is the combo? If you have an undisrupted pre-preparation of rights, this is it. So write this down if you want to play Yummy Mitsurugi. Prayer is going to be further reborning back onto the field as we now make our Zombie Vampire. Zombie Vampire is going to mail 4 cards off of both players here as we link off into a Yummy Snatchy. Yummy Snatchy, were we supposed to put this in the extra monster zone? I think so, to make a gravity controller if we play that. If not, we could just turn it into a Camellia. So we're not playing gravity controller. We are playing Camellia, so it did not matter if it was in the extra monster zone or not. So just be understanding that we are playing this and Camellia. It's not, Camellia's not replacing this, it's in addition. There we go. Cupsy Yummy Way is going to be searching our deck for 2 bodies. Discard 1. Special summon the Cupsy, grabbing the Yummy Surprise. Special summon the Cookie, which will be a disruption during the opponent's turn. Further link off to now make the Lollipo. Lollipo, reborn 2 bodies from the graveyard, as we're going to Sorrow Cat. Sorrow Cat plus a level 1, making the Herald of Arclight. And we now have Sprite Elf pointing to the Herald of Arclight. This should be an auto win against Dracotail. let's think about the outs. How do you beat this? Well, you're going to have to by battle, right? Or you're going to have a Mimighoul on the field, because only cards from the hand or deck get banished when sent to the grave. So none of them trigger, no follow-up, no pop, no negate, and then your core play would be Arthalion, which targets the Herald but can't be targeted, so then you go to battle. How are we going to protect this from battle? If we attack into it, we could use the Prayers to Reborn Murakumo to wipe out the monster trying to attack into it by battle. We have Yummy Surprise plus the Elf here, which is actually not going to help. Just the Prayers will just tank it. That's it. Auto win. GG no re. Cartesia, activate, Fool Loss, mate. Dracotail doesn't really care about Maxi or Fool Loss anyway. You resolve one good fusion, you set 2 traps from the deck potentially, and you're good. Now, Mobile X may even want to commit to another summon, which will be punished by a second copy of Fool Loss. Otherwise, just very simply, set up our double traps and be happy. Famina, trap number 1, trap number 2, we set the flame, and we're great. Lots of plays here off of a single draw. And this is what I've been continually saying. If you hate Maxi, if you hate Fool Loss, play Dracotail, they do not care. Return back a monster, banish from the grave, negate a spell, we could pop a monster with a pan, we could fusion summon, we could banish the Magnum Hut. We have about 6 forms of disruption. Fool Loss in the draw phase before the Cartesia or the Famina are activatable. Pre-prep. Now, is another copy activatable? Let's read this. You could only activate 1 pre-prep. This is not negating the activation, thus the other copy is a brick. But it's okay. We have 2 plays, 2 separate plays. They get to draw a card here. Or no, they don't, because they don't have a Dracotail card in the graveyard to return back, or banishment. Saji activate, searching for the Mitsurugi Ritual. Let's Ritual, tribute off the Habakiri to summon our Murakumo. Murakumo on summon, non-target, wipe away the opposing field. We also have the Habakiri in graveyard, further searching our deck for a Prayers. Or a Mirror, since the pre-prep didn't search for the Mirror. Tributing off the Murakumo for Habakiri, which now the Murakumo will be searching for the Prayers as it reborns back onto the field. But we got the Magnum Hut, and you do not have a Prayers mate. Also, you know, hey, this is what happens. The Hornet Drones is not activatable, and, you know, we really got caught with our pants down. That is unfortunate. Or, no, the Prayers still goes through the banishment, but does the Prayers have anything to reborn? Yeah, we could Prayers reborn, still make Camellia, and then we could Hornet Drones. We still have plays. Prayers will not activate this turn yet. So why does it look like we're passing? We went to battle phase already? What's going on? Pay 800, reborn, put the 2 bodies, and make our full combo. We're doing it in main phase 2 instead. Okay. Kusanagi, add back the Murakumo. Camellia, and this is a spell speed 1. It's slow. So the thought from Mobile X is that he needs time to activate this card, so we're going to bounce it back before it activates, denying them the Hornet Drones, but then they could still full combo with the Hornet Drones. Or maybe we just let him dump it. If you let him dump it, then we could use Sting. Sting normally isn't really a good disruption, but this targets a spell and a monster, so we could target the Hornet Drones in grave when Kagari tries to add it back, another way to deny their play. Multiple plays to stop this. And so the Horn is what we think is stopping the Hornet Drones, but we already have it. And then, as I just said, the Sting stops the drones. Nuts. Well done for Mobile X. Under a Fool Loss also. There you go. Dracotail Clappage. Insane. Maxi and Fool will pretty much never ruin the duel for the Dracotail player. And then they have the insane push with Branded Fusion in addition to all their other plays. Disgusting. Absolutely disgustingly good. And, I mean, Bori's hand was great, was it not? We had multiple different lines of plays, but every single response they had stopped us. Let's go. Normal Cookie. We have Crossout, Designate, Negate. The Bell cannot stop the Crossout. It would be able to stop a Called By. Negate. Drone Lockbird against Yummy. How good is it? It's not very good. It will deny a Yummy Surprise being searched for, and that's pretty much it. You know, it's decent. Minion is taking a gamble here. Any other Yummy in the hand plays through this. And Labatros is like, I don't care. I'm going to take that chance. They have how many other Yummies? 10 other Yummies, and they could have a Yummy Surprise, so it'd be like 11 other cards. They could even have Hornet Drones to further play through this. I just can't believe we're not playing through this. Ghost Spell actually ending our turn. Insane. Purge is set. Now, there's a downside to using Purge on turn 0, which is your next turn, you can't Little Knight, you can't Kagari. Let's see what happens here. Rahu Dracotail, which the Purge cannot negate. Now, the key 2, when you have a body on the field and the key 2 is being used to search and fuse, that's a really good Purge hit. Arthalion's going to return back the Engrave, Ghost Spell, and Femina, as Urgula's going to non-target pop a back row card. Imperm negate the Arthalion from recycling, as Labatros has a random chance to take out the Purge, which could have been left in the hand, but then it would have had the downside we talked about. Wow. Purge was supposed to stop Key 2. Now we have Imperm instead. What the heck was that? A 50% chance. YOLO flipped the coin, and I think that coin flip wins the duel. That's it. Lucius can get negated by Impermanence. Negate the Impermate. Minion cannot attempt to reborn from the grave again until we can make a Link 1. Now, any card we draw into that's a monster could be a Link 1 because of Almirage. We could top deck into an Ash Blossom, normal summon, Almirage, then reborn. The problem is, if you understand how the Minion works, you're not going to wait. If they summon a hand trap, turn into an Almirage, this is not a trigger effect. It has to be activated in the open game state. Don't let them go into the open game state. In response to the summon, bounce it back and you automatically win. What could Yusuf even top deck into? That's pretty good. This is two pushes. Push number 1 will just be with the Cupsy and the field spell. Push number 2 will be the Yummy Surprise. So how should Labatros play around this? Well, we're gonna bounce the Cupsy back. And the Yummy Surprise does this target because we do have the Sting. Now, Yummy Surprise is non-target summon from the hand or graveyard. If the opponent's asking, are you gonna summon from the graveyard? I don't tell you until resolution. So I don't know what to banish with the Sting. Oh, okay, we're gonna take out the Cookie Yummy and the Purge, but now we could special summon the Yummy Cupsy. Maybe Labatros thought he could only summon from the grave because we now get to play through this. We get to get Cupsy in the grave, reborn it back. This was not a good use. So what is a good use of this? If the Yummy Surprise is non-target, the Minion targets a monster in the graveyard, you would, I would say, banish the monster the targeting. Now, the issue is Cupsy was normal summoned this turn, so Cupsy, if we control Link 1, will just special summon on the field. This was just such an incredible top deck, I could not believe it. Holy moly, Yusuf on that top deck. It seems like whatever we would have done, we would have been able to play through it. We drew into a pan. Now we can't play through it. we can now destroy the Snatchy before summoning Cupsy. What the heck? We had it. Femina. So he knows that the Snatchy is going to get destroyed. So we are going to be playing onto the field the Crow. A Crow will trigger if you do something to my Snatchy, and then I'll summon another body from the deck. So Yusuf is still playing through this. Not really, though, because the Ghoul Melt takes out the Crow, and the Pan takes out the Snatchy. Yeah, all right. So we are definitively stopped. Now it's over. No more Cope. Goodbye to your field spell, which will not trigger. Goodbye to your Snatchy. And the Cupsy needed the Link 1 to be on the field to special summon. Definitively because we top decked into a freaking pan. I cannot believe that. Is it now over? It's over. Huh. Actually close. Such a good top deck, the Cupsy itself, but then met with a top decked pan. Let's go. In response to Cookie, we're going to get rid of the Cookie because we can't special summon our other Yummies if there is no Link 1 on the field. unless we have a Marshmallow. Marshmallow would be able to play through this. Are we going to Call by the Grave, finger that Femina? Now, this is where Ghost Spell would be great to negate that Call by the Grave. Finger, Femina, negate. Not today, mate. They still have Ash, they still have Droll. Droll not so good. Ash used on Cupsy to search will get cross-out designated. Oh boy, we got the plays, we got the ways. We are going to play the field spell from the hand, so why this even activate? It baits out a Veiler. They could have Veiler, they could waste Veiler, and then we'd play this from the hand. So ensuring that the Yummy Surprise is not in circulation in many ways is great, and knowing that all of that is about to happen, we're out of here. You fingered me, you cross-outed me. No thanks. Next duel. Malulu. This is why you summon Malulu over Lucius. Lucius gets negated. That's it. You're done. Malulu gets negated. It could still activate during the opponent's turn to fuse again. Rahu, Dracotail. Fualos in response. Ash, negate. The Ghost Spell is going to be best used against a trap. What trap, though? If they try to horn us back, I would say that could be a good negate. Otherwise, the Flame is going to negate the field spell that we would play through with the Snatchy. Arthalion recycling back Ash, which is so broken. Also making sure to grab back the Femina. And if you're ever wondering, like, why am I putting my Arthalion on the lower chain link? This is why. You don't want Bell to be activatable onto Arthalion. We have Key2 to further search our deck as the Horn is ready to return a monster back. Searching for the Urgula. Let's now fuse with the Malulu and the Femina. Urgula is going to add back the Femina, and we're going to have all three traps. Banish from the grave, negate a spell, and return a monster back. We could Ash, negate an interaction with the deck. We could Gulamel, pop a card in the field. We could also summon another Arthalion to return cards on the field back. 6 disruptions. Yusuf, just surrender, right? How are you going to deal with 6 disruptions? Cupsy is a massively great play, but beyond that, you just have Bell and Cupsy. What could you even top deck into? Perry Reese map is another play. Okay. 6. Eats the Ash. Great. Negate. 5 more disruption to play through. Now, for the Femina to be a disruption, one of the traps have to draw into a monster. Any monster. Gulamel wiping out the Acro. Now, Acro triggers when a monster leaves the field by an opponent's card effect. I guess we were afraid of that. Also, if we perform a Synchro, it lets us pop a card in the field, and it also gives us a chain link block onto our Cupsy or Lollipo if we had a direct chain link negate. Femina drawing another Femina. Cupsy is our normal summon, and we're going to be bouncing it back to the hand. No, we're not, because Bell is going to negate. Negate. Now, the Yummy Surprise or the Minion will be negated by the Flame, and they'll also draw another card. So we had an opportunity to think about, do we Femina bounce this back? Well, he searched for a Marshmallow because the Flame will negate Yummy Surprise. We don't want to have that instead. And by searching for the Marshmallow, it ensures that they don't want to Arthalion early because they will just follow up special summon a Marshmallow. Snatchy is here. Did not activate. Did not want to play the Minion from the deck. Okay. Well, we're going to Femina. Now, the problem is we waited for them to activate the Marshmallow. And otherwise, what would have happened? If we dealt with the Snatchy early, the Marshmallow would come out. And then after the Femina resolves, we get to play the Minion without it being disrupted by potentially an Urgula that could be in the hand. By this being the case instead, none of their effects are going to be non-targeting unless they have a really good card in hand. So if I'm Yusuf, I'm afraid of the hand card being a Pan, a Malulu, non-Urgula, that's not a problem, because in response to them targeting us, we're just going to Synchro. We're going to dodge it. It's not going to be an issue. Targeting effects are not a big deal. Okay, instead of Arthalion, this will trigger off Marshmallow, and once you target Marshmallow to banish it, you're going to chain Synchro. So this could be quite confusing, the ruling, because if we read this, banish that monster, it doesn't say then or and, it's also. So that means If you ever see an effect that says also, before the also doesn't matter because it's going to do both. The problem is the monster has to either be on the field or be banished by the first part of the effect in order for the second effect to check the original type. If the monster is no longer on the field through another effect and it's not there on resolving the effect, then the also actually just doesn't even happen. So it's, you know, it's not tied to the first part, it's separate, happens in addition at the same time, but we're just gonna dodge it. Not an issue. There you go. Targeting, so banish it. Also banish all beast. The problem is, it's not also banishing all beast until it finds out the type on resolution. And so right now, I don't know what we're banishing, but we're gonna banish everything of a type. And then when we're getting ready to check what type we banish, it's not there. Okay, what do I banish? I don't need to banish the monster, but I need to know what type to banish. And I don't know what type to banish, so the Cupsy is gonna dodge it. That's it, no banishment. Add back the Corral. Activate the Cupsy on summon. Arthalion's gonna reborn. Cupsy, Yummy Way. Again, this would be a way to trigger the Mysterion if it was more than once per turn, but it's a hard once per turn. And even if we waited to activate this right here now, it would still be dodgeable. Now, an interesting ruling. If you activate Snatchy, which is a beast, to synchro into a beast, and this summons, if a beast summons into a beast, you activate this effect, it's not even activatable. Because Snatchy is not summoning a beast. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to not confuse you here. Snatchy's effect is to perform a Link summon, not to special summon a Link. So because Snatchy is activating an effect to perform a Link summon, when you perform that Link summon, it's not identified that a beast summoned a Link, a spirit being, it's not identified that a beast summoned a beast synchro. It's that we just performed a synchro play. That's it. I don't know if I was saying Link incorrectly, but do you understand that? The effect is to perform a synchro summon, not to summon a synchro, all right? So it would not trigger. Just understand that. A Link Row synchro. Add 2 at the Cupsy, discard the field spell. Let's further go into Lalipo. That's complicated. Yeah, it's not that complicated. It's like Masquerena. Masquerena's not summoning the monster. Masquerena is performing a Link summon. Little Knight, banish a card on the field or grave. We can't attack directly. Lalipo, return back the Magnum Hut. Sprite Elf is here. Elf is going to be reborning. So not to further confuse you, you all know that you can't Solemn Judgment an effect that performs a special summon, right? Yeah, everyone knows that. But you can Solemn Judgment the synchro of a Snatchy if Snatchy's on Chain Link 1, because it's not an effect that directly summons a synchro, it's an effect that performs a regular synchro summon. And let's reborn. We're boosted. Boy, we are boosted thanks to the field spell. 32, 28, 3K, 26. Clean up this field. We are also reduced him with the cookie, and he's reduced due to the banished cards. Metal Marcher, main phase 2. This is a duel. You all should rewatch this duel, rewind, because how did Yusuf play through this? This was masterfully done. He even made sure to not trigger Snatchy because of an early Femina potentially disrupting the minion, knowing that the Marshmallow could play the minion from the deck instead. Put him in a really bad spot. This was great. This was actually great. Now, unfortunately, the Herald is not untargetable. We're going to non-target bounce back the Gulamel. It gets banished by its own effect instead since it was reborn from Engrave. As we made sure to return back into the deck via Crowd, because from the graveyard it's not a disruption, but when it's in the deck, it is now an additional disruption, as the Snatchy being reborn from the graveyard will be able to play it from the deck. Key 2 will add, as the Sprite Elf will further reborn the Lalipo, the Herald's going to ensure that if you perform a fusion summon on resolution, that the cards will get banished instead. So we do not want Malulu to get banished. We keep it on the field. So now if the Malulu synchros, or I should say fusion, I'm getting the Xyz synchro link all mixed up. When the Malulu fusion summons, it will go to the grave, it will trigger, it will negate the Herald, even though it is targetable anyway, since the Sprite Elf's not pointing to it. Now, an issue as we take out the Herald of Arclight, they had no way to protect. In response to the Malulu, we are going to now be reborning. And how do you think this works? Does Snatchy get negated by Malulu? What's going to happen is the Malulu is going to be chain link 1. It's going to be on the lower chain link because we are the non-turn player, thus we're going to be the higher chain link, so we're not going to get negated. So the trigger effect won't get negated, the effect the synchro won't get negated, we could completely play through it. All of Labatross's effects are going to be on the lower chain. He did not activate Arthalion, and we also didn't even activate Snatchy to play the field spell. Malulu is going to be negating the Typhon. That's why the Arthalion couldn't even activate due to the Typhon. It's now permanently negated, not an issue. Reborn the Cookie. We still have the Sprite Elf to reborn a Synchro if we want. Reduce, and we got a super boosted upfield. Nuts. Lethal damage. This is a great duel. Great duel. And I'm sorry for the confusions with Mysterion. Do you all understand what I was saying with Mysterion and how it works correctly and how Snatchy works and all that good stuff? Not that it's that relevant, but there you go. Good job to both players. Very well played through multiple disruption. Let's hop in another. Begin. I know this isn't an interesting match. We're going to ×2 speed right through it. Don't worry. I wanted to watch more Yummy against Dracotail. So far, Dracotail has defeated Yummy. And Yummy has defeated Dracotail. They're even. Cartesia has been seeing a lot of use. The use of Cartesia has skyrocketed since the release of Dracotail. I very much enjoyed watching Nibiru's special usage in the Clown Crew deck. I liked that a lot. Excited for next year when that comes out. They can return a face-up card back, banish from the graveyard, negate a spell, Nibiru tribute off the field. We have no fusion play unless we draw into it. Fuse up 3 bodies from the hand. Arthalion is ready. Now, we could, with the Hermetic Seal, turn into a fusion with the Malulu, so I will just count that. For Ixol, we're going to Sting, banish from engrave the Ash Blossom, disallowing him from adding it back to the hand. Now, what happens here? On a separate chain, the Hermetic Seal will trigger and the Ash would be able to negate. So we are stopping the Ash from preventing him from summoning Malulu. Makes sense. Correctly done. Randomly drew into a Femina. So even if the Hermetic Seal were negated, not even that big of an issue. Let's trigger the Heavenly Sphere into Malulu here. No Ash since it was negated, or banished that is. Gulamel. Now we're going to be able to use the Urgula to take out the back row Rahu, as the Gulamel also takes out the Kitu. Destroying back row during the opponent's turn is immensely relevant against Dracotail. A lot of people are like, what happened to Orcus? What the heck? They were tier 1 and then they're not. It was a fake deck. Bro, if the most played deck is destroying your field spell, of course your deck's not good anymore. No other deck was randomly popping your stuff. If your Babel is getting wiped away through the common top tier deck play, then of course. Arthalion Pan, set it up. Goodbye to the Lucius. Femina. I think people have trouble understanding that decks are not rated in a vacuum on just a regular power level. It's not, this is power level 10, so when an 11 comes out, it's just better by 1 point. No, there are different interactions with the decks. You can be a really good deck, but if a deck that's a little bit better has a really good, devastating matchup to your deck falls off a cliff. You're now worse than all the other decks that you were better than because you have a bad matchup against the best deck. That's how things happen. So that is why you could have a tier 1 deck and a tier 3 deck. A new deck comes out, the tier 1 deck is gone, and then that tier 3 deck's now tier 2 because it has a decent matchup against the new most popular deck. That's how things have to be looked at. Let's go to game number 2. I mean, think about Malice. Malice, good matchup against Dracotail. Well, now that we have mixed up the meta with top tier Yummy, it has now been messed up. The relevance of Malice is now dropping. Oh, but the Malice ban list, so what? We played with the Malice ban list for 2 different tournaments. It was still a good deck until Yummy came out, which further messed up their better matchups. Normal the Lucius come to us, Urgula. Femina, fuse it up, chain Maxi, Ash negate the, because we have more plays of the branded fusion. Otherwise, we could just eat the Maxi and not care. We can also just use our Thalion to recycle back the Ash Blossom. Urgula and Lucius setting up even more plays. Ash is back as we further add back our Femina. You do want to consider using... The thing with Femina, it can be confusing on the best way to use it, because if you shotgun Femina, it's best against an impulse, right? They can't impulse since you control no cards, but if you wait for Femina, it could generally be better to chain Femina to the opponent responding to your other cards. If you activate a Rahu, they chain Maxi. We've seen a lot of people commonly chaining Femina to make the Rahu an illegal play, then they draw nothing for the Maxi, an even better play against Maxi. Now, we have so much disruption. We have Fuse, Ash, Reborn Fuse, negate a spell, banish from the grave, return back a monster. Secretarion's going to ensure that our special summon monsters cannot activate. Not even the Sanctifier can reborn the Albaz. Now, the Albaz is a special summon dragon that also just would not be activatable. So this Secretarion is putting in a lot of work. We have to deal with this card. We are able to successfully negate the Kitu, which would have also fused on Resolution. Flame is needed. We need another card with Femina. We got to fuse to deal with that Secretarion in some way. With it being in defense, we could of course swing over it by battle, but at the current moment, we're not in a good spot. Can we horn our own Albion Sanctifier? Well, it says only the opponent cannot target with card effects, and you also negated it. So if we're desperate, which we kind of are now, I think we have to use both. We have to sting and horn our own Sanctifier back. We're going to target, so we're going to draw 1, and then we're going to draw 2. Exactly what I said here, returning back our own monster to ensure we get that pot of greed. We need a good body to use with the Femina. That's not good. We need something better. We get another chance. That's good. Malulu negates the Secretarion, if needed. And now we're going to Femina right here, right now, fusing with the Malulu and the Gulamel into our own Secretarion. Trigger Malu for the key to follow-up play. Negate the Secretarion, and GG, we out. Let's go to game 3. Sephiroth says, I've used the third effect before. We're going to activate Fool Loss early within the standby phase, and also chain Maxi to the Femina. While Dracotail does not really care about Maxi or Fua, they do get a draw 2 here, and then they could just end their turn. They will be triggering all 3. This is massive. We have no Valor to punish the Arthalion, attempting to return 3 cards back. We're going to have all 3 traps. Banish from the grave, negate a spell, return back a monster. We're going to be able to fuse. And when we fuse, we could Malulu also negate. We could pan destroy a monster. This is about 6 forms of disruption we're ending on. Can we play through 6? Let's go. Surely we can, yes. Nibiru is really bad against Dracotail. Full loss. And what I was saying earlier about, hey, this deck was good, and then a newer deck came out, why did it fall off the tier list? Well, think about a card like Nibiru. Nibiru could be good in a meta, and then once the new best deck is unaffected by Nibiru, which pretty much Dracotail is if they're not going into branded plays, then this completely falls off. This is now considered a bad card when we only had Dracotail. People are only playing Nibiru again because Yummy is sharing the top market share of top decks being played. So then you have to make this decision. Do I want a better matchup against Yummy, but I'll lose the mirror match because Nibiru is going to do nothing in the mirror? This very well could have just been anything. This could even be a Moonlit Chill to be better in the mirror match. We have the Rahu getting negated by the Flame. And now Malulu in response to the Kitu. Why are we doing this? If you fuse with the Kitu, you're going to trigger an effect which we, as the non-turn player, will be the higher chain link to Malulu negate whatever that monster on the field is. If it's an Arthalion, it will be negated. If it's a Secretarion, we'll just negate it. So knowing that, I'm not going to summon anything. I pass. I know what you're trying to do. And what's interesting is Ballsy Yummy passed on the Malulu. Didn't even want to set a follow-up card, which is quite interesting. Which means we now have the opportunity to use our Thalion to return it back to the hand, or we could draw into a Malulu to then fuse again within this turn to try to trigger it. Femina, in response to Femina, we're going to use our Gulamel to take out the Lucius. This is a gamble. The gamble is that he has no other Dracotail in hand, and then he whiffs on the fusion. No fusion summon whatsoever, but because the one Urgula, it goes through. And in case you do go through with the fusion, we're going to ensure that the Secretarion makes it so the newly summoned card is not even activatable. Urgula, take out a back row, our own Gulamel and Grave Reborning. Sting is going to banish the Urgula and the Kitu before they are able to recycle back Femina to the hand. It's all about managing the resources here. Whoever's going to be higher in resources will automatically win. Dracotail rarely steals duels. They have to be dominating in resources to win. Magnum Hut, say goodbye to that Malulu. I don't know. I think it's quite questionable that we didn't trigger Malulu, even though it had nothing to negate. I don't know about that mate. Yeah, it was quite a while ago. We only triggered Pan and not Malulu. Now, we have the Sanctifier Dragon with the set Sting, big enough to say goodbye to the Secretarion due to the banished Malulu. And what now? We're going to, within the standby phase, Reborn Albaz to fuse with either field. So a really good play, if you're a cheater, would be to chain Femina to the Albaz, then chain Gulamel to pop the Albaz. Illegal. You can't do that because we're in the standby phase, obviously, that's why. Only main phase Femina. Let's fuse into a Mirror Jade. So that's why it was very important for the Sanctifier to do this in the draw or standby phase. Typhon is now immediately turning off the Mirror Jade. The Albion already activated, and it's in defense, and we just lost our Mirror Jade. Now, Mirror Jade does not trigger if returned back to the extra deck when it leaves the field. Has to be banished, has to be sent to the graveyard. We're going to preemptively Sting away their grave, return back a banished card, drawing into a Pan that we could fuse into with the Malulu. Very well done. Our Thalion cannot even attempt to activate. The Pan will be able to destroy the Typhon. The Malulu will also be able to negate. Let's do it, mate. Boy, are we gathering up some good resources. And when this gets destroyed, what can we even do? Well, is Femina a fusion summon play here? Think about what a Dracotail requires. A Dracotail plus a monster in the hand. Typhon is a monster on the field. So this is not even a legal Dracotail summon. Can't do it. And we're done. That's it. Dead Femina. How the heck does Femina not be activatable? Crazy. Obviously only 2 cards in the hand, but the body on field also was not even a fusion summon. Now, Justinian and Mugiwara, what is going on? Why are there so many Dracotails? Set pass. Yeah, this deck sucks. Pan's a brick, Urgula's a brick, Sting's a brick. Why would you want to play a deck full of bricks? Ash, negate, Lucius, mate. We're trying to get lucky, and that does not work out. Come forth, our Thalion. Our Thalion cannot target back row cards. Only monsters from either field or either grave. We're going to Sting, banish. Ash is going to negate the Sting, and we should not play into Nibiru. We don't need to. Now, 2 fusions in a Lucius is not enough for lethal damage. We're not going to even be further summoning, even though we're not under Full Loss or Max C. Let's further link off No Spirit with Blue Eyes. This will give us resilience against a Nibiru if we do happen to summon one more time, which we do. If you Nibiru tribute off the Hieratic Seal, it will trigger to summon a Malulu from the deck, or an Albaz. Probably not playing Albaz if we're playing Hieratic Seal. We got Cross Sheep, no Anaconda, so that's a good tell. If you look at Justinian, Justinian is on Anaconda, so we know that the branded play is definitely down there. Despite the Hieratic Seal triggering on being tributed, we don't care. We're still going to Nibiru, summon Malulu, and now back to you. Return a monster, negate a spell, fuse, pop a back row, negate with Malulu, return back the Nibiru right now. To main phase 2 we are, and our hand is still bad. Nothing improved. Let's go. Key 2, we got our Blazing Cartesia here. Fuse up into Arthalion. Arthalion, recycle back our 2 engraved cards. Trigger Lucius and Femina. If you're sick of Dracotail and Yummy's release was not enough, you gotta wait for Vanquish Soul Canine, which could very well just be in a couple weeks. Gulamel, make sure you make the Anaconda before activating the Rahu. It does have a summon lock, as you can see here in the lingering effect window. Return back Femina with Urgula, use the Branded Fusion into our Sanctifier. Obviously, you can't Ash the effect of Branded Fusion being copied by Anaconda, even though the effect is sending monsters from the deck to the graveyard, because the effect is simply just a copy and effect. Lots of disruption. Fuse, Ash, Pop, Fuse with Albaz, negate with Flame. Goodbye to the Rahu. Ash, negate the Flame. We also have the Sting banished in the graveyard. Horn, return back a monster, about 7 disruptions, as one of them being the Flame. So now we're down to 6. Let's fuse this up. Pan will non-target destroy potentially the untargetable Sanctifier Dragon. Pan is not telling us what it will destroy until resolution. Urgula is going to be taking out one of the backward disruptions. Knowing that Sanctifier will likely be destroyed on resolution, we're going to use it right here, right now, Reborn the Albaz, which we can now change our mind and destroy the Albaz instead, before it activates on the new chain link. Goodbye to the Sting. Goodbye to Albaz, right? Albaz be gone. And now, Arthalion, resolve, returning back Gulamel, Femina on resolution. Let's fuse into Gulamel's back. And I believe most people are on 1 Gulamel. That is our 1 Gulamel that you return back, now back on the field. In response to our own card activating, let's pop a card in the field, taking out the key to before it activates. We have not used our normal summon yet. And there it is. Lucius on normal, Ash, negate. Let's chain Femina, mate. Now, this is impossible to summon into a Dracotail unless we chain effect that would add a monster to our hand. While this is not dodging Ash, because we're not negating the card, we're negating the effect, we're instead summoning a Secretarion? Mysterion? Secretarion, Mysterion? Secretarion. They're like the Irion deck type, right? That's a type, that's a family. Lucius and Arthalion are now triggering. As you destroyed our key 2 earlier, we may want to set another key 2 since it has not been activated yet. There it is. It will on resolution be able to fuse. First, we're going to use the Secretarion to reborn our Femina, which has not been used for fusion summon yet. Thus, we want to fuse with this Femina. Malulu and Femina combine into one, making our Gulamel. Let's trigger both. Permanently negate something on the field. You could permanently negate the Gulamel or the Sanctifier. Sanctifier doesn't really do anything during the opponent's next turn, as we're going to horn back our Anaconda to draw. Femina is setting up the Sting, and then Malulu is going to choose to negate the Sanctifier over Gulamel. You know, both are being prevented from activating due to the Secretarion, but only the Gulamel will be activatable during the next turn. I don't know if I agree with negating Sanctifier. Will it actually matter? I think negating Gulamel is better, because this does nothing on your own turn. But you know, now it's targetable with Horn if you want to return it back, I guess. Well, Gulamel, return back with the Horn. So you may be thinking, Malulu negates Gulamel, then Horn can't deal with Sanctifier. If we instead Malulu negate Sanctifier, then Horn could deal with Gulamel. Big enough for a Lucius to take out the Secretarion. Such a small D at only 1,500. You have Little Knight banish away the Flame. When you think of it, Little Knight is so good against Horn. If Horn tries to return it back to draw a card, it just dodges it. They don't get to draw a card. Also taking out the Flame so it could follow up with the key to Dracotail. And also what's really good about Little Knight is you should know where their traps are. If you forget, it's in the duel log, exactly where they set it. Let's now return back up to 3. Sting is going to be banishing away the key to an Ash. The Ash was being targeted to return back. And the Urgula was threatening the Sting to be destroyed. We got Flame, add back Femina, add back the Pan. We have not activated Femina yet. We have not activated Rahu. We have Pan triggering to reborn back in the field the Lucius to search for an Urgula. Usually it's best that the card you reborn back with Pan will be a Malulu. Now we have Arthalion. Arthalion, return our Ash on field back to hand. What the heck? Urgula, take out the back row Rahu. Little Knight, banish the Ash so it does not get returned back to the hand. It's very important. The Ash and Ghost spells in the mirror match, they are negating the traps. And especially the Ash. Ash is negating Key 2. When there's bodies on the field, it's a very good negate. It's also negating Rahu. Just every turn, whoever accesses their Ash first and then continually recycles it the most is going to be a winner. That's it. Begin. Habakiri, Summoner, Saji, no Ash for that. I mean, we have no hand traps whatsoever. This is going to be impossible to win, right? How is this going to resolve? Mimighoul summons onto their field face down. You can't summon a Mimighoul if there's no spot to summon it. Well, there is at least a spot. Do I even talk about the disruptions? He's got a lot of them. Floodgate, negate anything. He could wipe away the field, force him to discard. He could synchro and to flip him face down. He could pop a card with the field spell, pop a card with the cookie. He could also purification, negate anything. He could also use the surprise to return 2 cards in the field back to the hand. 9 disruptions. Only 9. Heavy slump. What the? The theory with slump is you always take the Maxi Challenger Fool loss, and then during your opponent's turn, you slump their whole hand back, ideally after they resolve an effect to search. Because if they resolve an effect to search, and you got your pork belly, soybean, orange juice card, what's going to happen is you activate this, then you chain Drone Lockbird. They now lose their whole hand, and they don't even draw 2. Fool loss before it would not be activatable. We're going to call it the Grave Finger the Fool loss. That's it. Cam has no other hand traps in sight. We're going to turn Ripple and you into future Zexal. All of our other cards cannot be targeted. What the heck? Target, except this one. Your opponent also cannot target other cards on the field with card effects. So other cards on the field card. This is including your own cards, right? Except this one cannot target other cards on the field card effects. So this means if they summon a Makonko, then activate an equip, they couldn't even activate it onto their Makonko. It would have to activate onto this card only. And in addition to that, the other monsters cannot be targeted for attacks. So the Herald of Arclight is fully protected, can't be targeted, can't be attacked, and will be able to negate anything. We have Dimensional Barrier to floodgate him. We could also return 2 cards back. We get the pop, we could flip face down. And then the Mimighoul Dungeon, isn't this doing something wild? Any player who controls a face down monster cannot normal summon. So then you're forced to flip up your monster so that you can normal summon. Okay. You flip it up. And what happened is you now made it this turn, you cannot activate the effects of monster special summon from your hand. Is special a Cupsy? Can't activate. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Huh. Can't activate from the hand. Wow, he's like, screw this, I'm out. This is nonsense. And unfortunately, he did draw a bunch of bricks. Murakumo being a brick, he discarded it because it was a brick. He drew in a Purification, another brick, which can't even reborn the Murakumo because it was not properly summoned. Maxi in response to the Cupsy, searching for the Yummy Surprise. And boy, are we bricked up. Purification, brick. Mirror, brick. Ritual, brick. Minion is a brick. You want to play this from the deck. Dude opened up 4 bricks in a Cupsy. What the heck is this? Now, Cupsy is a really good opener, to be fair. I can't believe how dead these cards in his hand are. just summon Snatchy Pass. That's it. What else is there to do? Now, we are forced to use Surprise not as a form of disruption. It has to freaking reborn the Cupsy. And then we have some plays. We could flip cards face down. We could potentially pop the field spell if we reborn back them onto the field. We may even have a cookie effect. If we're able to make a Cupsy, search for cookie, discard it, then they activate something, then the Cupsy, the cookie, the Cupsy, cup, cookie, whatever, freaking synchro, whoopsie, whoopsie, opsy, is able to reborn it back, then pop. This is about triple disruption. Can we beat Bro, this is glued to your hand. What's going on with this dimensional barrier? Mimighoul Maker. Reveal 2 flips, then Cam has to randomly pick one to summon to their field. And then we also get to special summon the Mimighoul from the hand. We're gonna flip that up. What is good against Yummy? Non-target effects. So some people, instead of just defaulting to Murakumo, which is the most popular non-target way to afflict Yummy, some people had the idea to play Melodious. Slayton had the idea to play Mimighoul because that is what the dragon does. Non-target, destroy all face-up monsters you control, very similar to the Murakumo, and now we're in trouble. Snatchy's gonna synchro with the Mimighoul dragon just to destroy whatever you synchro into. But is this a mistake from Cam? No way. We could reborn the Lollipop back with our Yummy Surprise, and then we have to hope that Slayton activates something so that we could chain it to reborn back on the field the Snatchy, the Cupsy, play the Acro, then Synchro, then pop a card. We still have plays. There you go. Immediately. Does not waste any time. As I said, a non-target board wipe into a non-target take control. What the hell? He's just like, okay, all right. Brick, 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 brick. My 4 initial cards in my hand that were bricks. I just had Cupsy. You had a max freaking C. Wow. Doesn't even bother. Why play this out? Unbelievable. Cam, I'm very sorry that happened. Oh my Jesus. 1 Cupsy and 4 bricks against a max freaking C. And then he had 2 non-targeting effects. Like, you're still good with the Lollipop. You still probably had a good chance to win this duel because of him playing Mimighoul, right? How good is that deck gonna even be? But no, non-target into non-target. Start this off with the Black Sheep searching for our polymerization. We just have impermanence. And it is such a major choke point to Imperm or Veil or the Gold Leo. It's got 2 effects. It adds in the deck, it adds in the grave. 1 negate stops both. That's it. Double towers. Double quick effect Raigeki only on a special summon monsters, and they're completely unaffected by all other card effects. So in addition to Raigeki, we have Ash Blossom to gain interaction with the deck, Little Knight Chain banish a monster on the field, and Battle is going to be the main way to deal with this, so Little Knight can definitely help with that. But in the grave, we have a Fusion plus a Silver Hound, which means we can negate any or spell trap card we want, negate the activation. 5 disruption. Marco, there's no way you could win this, right? What can you do? Normal our Primite Dragon to play the Lordy Load. Lordy Load's probably going to summon a level 2 monster so that we could special summon our monsters. But if we do that, you can't activate special summon monsters for the rest of the turn. So it's not even a good idea to do that. We're going to link off the barrel into a Striker Dragon. Lordy Load. That's it. This lingering effect window, no more activations from special summon monsters. We're out of play. It's almost like a Typhon. We Typhoned ourselves, right? Can't activate, can't activate, can't activate. Nothing no activate. But we can still Drill Beam, mate. Reveal to not even affect the Liger with it. And even though I'm just trying to banish your Little Knight, which could dodge this. Now, the Liger is unaffected by your own cards and your opponent's cards. So with the Little Knight, you could chain banish itself plus the Liger. And you have learned continually that the Little Knight will not banish unless both cards are banished. That's correct and incorrect. If the monster's still there to attempt to banish, Little Knight will still banish the other card, which would be itself. So you can correctly target Liger, target itself, and then just banish the Little Knight. It does successfully jump off the field. All right, let's hop into another one. So with a hand like this, we could make a Striker Dragon, which allows the Cupsy to special summon. That's the synergy there. I see the play. But what do we do with the Sprite Blue? We make a Synchro. By making the level 2 Synchro, the blue could special summon. So it's all connected. Primite allows you to special summon Yummies. Yummies allow you to special summon Sprites. It's 1, 2, 3. Not 2, 1, 3, 3, 2, 1. It's got to be Primate into Yummy, Yummy into Sprite. Special summon our Yummies and our blue alongside it all. Come to us, Jet. And we do obviously got to be careful about our Gigantic Sprite, which would lock us out of our Yummy plays. Level 2 only would be special summonable on the resolution. Let's Reborn back. How great is our field going to be? We still have the Lordy Low to be our final play to ensure that the Drill Beam will be activatable, but we can't activate our special summon cards the rest of the turn. So I do like this synergy here. Technically, the Lordy Load would allow the opponent to Nibiru your field because you wouldn't even be able to activate Herald of Arc Light since you turned off its ability to activate. But that's why you Gigantic Sprite first. So Gigantic Sprite definitively turns off the Nibiru, then Lordy Load turns off your field. Even then, he still it does not Lordy Load out a normal monster to turn on the Drill Beam. I'm a bit confused by that. Now, we do have the ability to, the Samsara can Synchro during their opponent's turn. So even though we're afflicted by the Gigantic Sprite, during the opponent's main phase, which you rarely see this being used, go into our Herald of Arc Light, which could be synchroed with whatever the Cupsy Reborn from Engrave. So what do we have here? We have the regular flip down their field, pop with the field spell, pop with the cookie. We don't have Yummy Surprise. We could steal a monster with the cross, could synchro into a Herald of Arc Light. We could Masquerena, Little Knight double banish. We could red, negate, and destroy a monster effect. About 8 disruption, right? Let's go. Guess you need space, right? You don't have a negate, and you could be like, oh, why didn't he activate this? It's only during the opponent's main phase. So if his first play in the main phase is to activate the Book of Eclipse, that's it. Our whole field gets flipped face down. Whatever you summon, I mean, okay, you just summon one. If you summon just one, then you still have the Elf, Masquerena, and then one extra slot for the Elf to Reborn the other Synchro, right? This is Reborn the Snatchy, which doesn't go face down. All right, this works. This does minimize the impact of the Eclipse. You still have a spot for the Elf to Reborn a Synchro. Foolish Burial, send the Silver Hound. Elf, Reborn the Lollipo, ready in response to a monster effect to Reborn a non-link Yummy so that we could make a Synchro play with it using Snatchy. In response to the Gold Leo, Reborn from Engrave. We don't have a cookie. No cookie, but the Lollipo could return back the Silver Hound. Or Martin. Right? Yeah. Gold Leo is targeting Martin to return back to the hand. Lollipo could just banish it instead. Very well done. That works out. So while this was not accounted for as a form of disruption, it was decently disruptive here. This is a problem. How do you stop this? This will gain an additional benefit if your opponent controls a monster summoned from the extra deck. Snatchy's not from the extra deck. The Elf and the Masquerena are. Oh boy. Now, we are using the Leo Dancer to go directly into a Liger. This is not an issue. All you have to do is go into Goddess, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we play Goddess? No. No Goddess. Okay. And Snatchy locked him out too. Yeah, so you see this? Because he activated Snatchy to play the Acrel from the field from the deck, it does have a restriction. Link 3 or higher cannot be summoned for the rest of the turn. Yeah, so even with Goddess, oh boy, what are we doing? But if we played Goddess, we maybe would not have played the Accro early to allow us to have that option. Little Knight is here, but Raigeki the entire field. Tried to destroy the Liger. That doesn't work. We're going to be activating to summon from the deck. We're going to also Little Knight banish from the graveyard the Panther Dancer, which also Chainlink blocks the Hound. I'm not sure if Hound can negate a card that's already face-up activating. It can. So it would have been able to negate the Accro and destroy. I think we're done, right? Just a Liger wins. One Liger. Piercing battle damage, by the way. Piercing thanks to the Wolf. But still not enough for lethal. Wolf at a massive 2,000 attack, plus giving that piercing battle damage. Oh my Jesus. I don't know what we could do. Here's the extra deck. How do we out a single Liger? It's the same issue with regular Yummy there. I was gonna say regular Purely. No Goddess, no out. There is another out with the Gorgon, but you need Masquerena and the Gorgon, and they have to not Raigeki the Masquerena. And then if they don't wipe out the Masquerena turns into an indestructible Gorgon, pointing to the Liger, which will boost it up to attack over the Liger. And then if they waited, the Gorgon can't be destroyed thanks to Masquerena's effect. But that's obviously not possible here. And this is why I don't think that the way to play Yummy is going to be with the Borreloads. I think Borreloads win more from seeing these two tournaments. I have yet to see a Borreload be summoned and go, that was needed. Borreload won the duel. Let's go. And if it's not winning the duel, if it's in a duel, if it's never being summoned, or it's in a duel that you're already going to win, you pull it out for more options. We need the Gorgon option. We need the Goddess option. Maybe that's just the better way to do it, because Lunalight's definitely climbing in prevalence. They are realizing that regular Yummy players don't have an out. Nicky Boy up against an Ash and Max freaking C. What is the play here? Negate the search for a Yummy Surprise, but I already have it in my hand. Got him. We're now going to Full Loss and Max C before the Link 1 play. Well, I'm going to pre-prep searching for my Mitsurugi Mirror and the Habakiri here. Let's play the Minion. Does not even commit to the Link 1. I'm not giving you a draw 2, not today. So what that means is 0 disruption. 0. We can't do anything with the Yummy Surprise. You would think maybe return 1. You have to target 2 Light Beasts, not up to 2. Only 2 to then return 2. Nothing. We do have Max C, which could maybe draw into disruption. Unless they Ash. Now Nicky Boy's got nothing. Oh boy. I think if we were only under Max C, he would have at least been willing to commit to a Link 1. Especially with the Yummy Surprise paired up with it. But draw 2 is way too much. Think about 2 additional cards being in his hand. Kandikia is going to be setting up the key to Dracotail. We're going to Reborn back the Cartesia. Let's key to on the Resolution, being able to fuse with the Reborn back onto the field Cartesia. The Tyrions are all here. Mysterion and Secretarion. Wipe away the back row Yummy Surprise. That is a surprise because we negated you from searching that surprise. But this is not even that great, really. All we have is a Spell Negate. This is activatable to go into the Ritual, so you'd be thinking the Flame is for the Ritual. Now, if we have any other play beyond the Mitsurugi Ritual, don't we win, right? Now, we got to be careful about this card. This is not good against Yummy because I already outlined a million ways how you just dodge this from banishing anything and all the exact rulings and how Snatchy doesn't even trigger this, all that good stuff. But maybe we have something else. Ooh, Purification. Is that going to be good? No. We're going to be summoning Saji, activating a search, and then... Okay, we know he has the Flame. So we're trying to play around it. Flame. Negate the prayer from searching for a monster. Habakiri will now be searching for a monster, spell, or trap. Any Mitsurugi card we want will be coming to our hand. And that will be the Mirakumo. And thanks to the mirror, we play right through it. So very smart. It could have been very easy for Nicky Boy to search for the Mitsurugi Ritual, gets negated, and then we have no play. Instead, we made the correct play. This is the way. Got to give the opponent to mess up your opponent. Mess up their plays, that is. Now, if the Murakuma were to reborn itself, if it were properly summoned, the Mysterion would be activatable to try to banish it and all their copies of reptiles in the field. This is not even a form of disruption. This can't be reborn in any way whatsoever. We do have the ability to negate anything, and that's it. Negate anything is our only play, so you best make it work out well. It's negate and destroy that card. Now, because it's not negate the activation, it's even better against Dracotail, so they can't use additional copies of the card you negate. We gotta negate Cartesia. We gotta negate. We're coping, mate, and it works. We negate and we destroy. Now, this is interesting. When the Habakiri reborns, Mysterion is going to attempt to banish it. And when we attempt to banish it, we could chain the prayers possibly to dodge the banishment, but we already tributed the Habakiri, thus we don't even reborn it back. Nope. Okay. No reborn back. Now, can we banish it here? We could have banished it before, now we banish it now. We can't because it's not summoned through a monster effect. A reptile has to summon this. That was not a reptile. And then it further reduces. Into D we go. What the heck happened this duel? This started off with an Ash, Fualos, and Max C against Nicky Boy going first. And now Nicky Boy's in control. Insane. Unbelievable. We don't have any real disruption. Mysterion is no good, and I hope we could see it be no good. We're not going to see it, though, because we're simply just going to battle over it. Remember, the Yummy Surprise monster could not attack directly. What were their attacks? Was this even lethal? The Habakiri could not attack directly. I don't know if we had game or not, but I mean, whatever we would build in main phase 2 if we did not have game would be more than enough. And we could also use prayers to tribute the Habakiri to then it would reborn itself back through its own effect and then attack directly. And that's the end. Now, do we hold the Droplet? Do we chain Droplet to Malulu? Do we wait for the fusion to be summoned? Then we use Droplet? What is the best play here? We only have one play, and that's going to be the Habakiri. Habakiri, Saji, search for the Mitsurugi Ritual. Can we stop that in any way? We cannot. We do have Droll and Lockbird on the Ritual being added to the hand. Now, there's a trick. Maybe Nicky Boy knows the trick. Maybe the trick's not even worth doing. What you do is, when the Saji adds the Mitsurugi Ritual, with turn player priority, you activate Droplet in response to yourself adding the Mitsurugi Ritual, and then you send a monster. What do you accomplish by doing that? They can't change roll now within the window of where you would droll. So the Droplet will negate Malulu, and the droll cannot be used. That's a double whammy. I think that's pretty good. What do you think? Let's see. They have Flame though? Well, if they didn't have Flame, that would be a great idea. Well, what they could do, unfortunately, is they could Flame, then change roll to the Flame. That messes up the very cool play. Indeed, we don't have a trap to send ourselves. If we had a Purification, then it would have been the ideal play. Why is this Flame gotta be here? Saji, add. Now, if we didn't have the Purification, this is where you Droplet with the toggle on, and they can't change roll. But he does have Flame to stop the Droplet play. You still have Mitsurugi Ritual. And isn't it still a good idea to force them to flame the Droplet, right? They have to flame the Droplet. Or Droplet just sends the Mitsurugi Ritual and the flame can't flame anything. It's negating the card, not the effect. So if you just save Droplet, Droplet's actually a very good card against Dracotail because you just dodge the effect of flame. And it looks like we're doing that. If we send the Ritual, it's now not being targeted. Perfect. So there are two cool ways to use Droplet this turn. Droplet to stop Droll, Droplet to dodge the Flame. Let's negate the newly summoned Gulamel with the Droplet, sure. tribute off the Habakiri, summon the Murakumo. Non-target board wipe. Whatever you summon with a fusion in response to the Murakumo, it would not even activate, it would just get wiped out. Discard the pan to ensure that our card can resolve properly, setting up the Kitu. Goodbye to the token with the pan, wiping out the field non-targeting. Trigger the Arthalion in the pan. Since a fusion was destroyed, we could reborn back onto the field the Malulu or a Lucius. Do we have a Lucius even in the graveyard? Let's see. Reborn the Malulu. Now Malulu already activated. Knowing it could activate again during the next turn, let's just wipe it out. Set Droplet Pass. We don't even have a way to trigger the Murakumo. We could just force them to discard a card when they activate something. We do have Ash, we do have Nibiru. Let's go. Magnum Hut. Force him to discard if he wants to successfully summon that Magnum Hut. Let's get rid of our Horn so it does go through. Magnum Hut, search for a dragon in the end phase, but the Ash will negate the Kitu. No add, then fuse for you. Do we have a good link too? Do we go in Hermetic Seal? I guess so. Yeah, Hermetic Seal, sure. Why not? Get a dragon in the end phase, which will be our pan. And then the Heavenly Sphere is an interesting situation here because the Murakumo. So if we activate and Murakumo forces us to discard, we don't discard. And then we say, thank you for activating, because then this activates to summon Malulu, then Malulu and Pan will fuse. But then Droplet will freaking negate the Malulu. So it looks like Nicky Boy's in a really good spot. And if you forgot, Nicky Boy's on Yummy. Where are the Yummy cards? There, right off the top of the deck. We're just gonna Droplet right away, which it can still activate, and then summon a Malulu from the deck, but then Murakumo can negate the effect of trying to summon from the deck. You know, this in a way is a checkmate. Yep. You attempt to negate them summoning Malulu, they discard, then Malulu does nothing. Gulamel, Reborn, the Malulu in Gulamel doesn't do anything. The Malulu has to summon a Dracotail, meaning they have to have a card in the hand. With no card in the hand, no Dracotail fusion. So 100% the Murakumo is stopping the ability to fuse into a Dracotail. Cookie destroying the Hermetic Seal, which is a targeting target. It's not non-target. You target it, so why not jump off? But we're still going to lose anyway, but still. YouTube, that is the top 16. We'll be advancing into the top 8 grand finale and top deck list, where we start off back at it again with Mimi freaking Gold. Mimighoul, Yummy is here, and it is top tier in Slayton's hands. Let's go.